Top executives at solar company Solyndra invoked their Fifth Amendment rights when they appeared before a hearing up on Capitol Hill today. Congress is investigating more than $500 million in federal loan guarantees that the company was given before going bankrupt last month. Well, joining us right now is former federal prosecutor Doug Burns to talk about this. Not surprised to hear them do this.
No, not at all. And as a matter of fact, when I heard last week that the FBI had raided Solyndra, yet the two executives were going to go in and testify, I was surprised. And of course, they adjourned it, and now they've come in and taken the fifth. One important thing people have to realize, too, is that the Fifth Amendment protects you against incriminating yourself or leads to that which could incriminate you. So the point is, in simple English, it's not uncommon at all. Any white-collar expert will tell you that you do it sort of very cautiously, et cetera. Doesn't necessarily mean they've committed a crime, is the point.
But, Doug, is it worry at this point that this could become a criminal case? Should we expect that?
There is a criminal investigation. The FBI executed search warrants at Solyndra, which is pretty serious. Normally what happens there is it takes some time for them to go through all of the records. You saw them coming out with banker boxes of records. And the investigation...
Just went in and took them, right? There was
they had a warrant specifically starting to be listing, that which they're able to seize, having presented to a judge that there's evidence that those documents are related to some type of white-collar criminal offense. And then, of course, what's interesting, too, is when a defense lawyer advises the government, like in the Department of Justice, that the person's going to invoke the fifth, normally their appearance is excused, by the way. It's not mandatory. In the DOJ manual, it says you probably should lean towards excusing it, but you can force him in. But here they asked him something like a half a dozen questions, which is a little bit of political theater. And that's not surprising because it's in a congressional hearing as opposed to a grand jury, which is secret.
Right. Big difference, right?
Of course, absolutely.
We thought it was interesting about the Solyndra defenders seem to be claiming that Chinese practices made the company unable to compete. So they've kind of got this business argument all of a sudden coming. And China, we know, is a hot button.
No, that's a very good point. In other words, everybody was throwing around mostly political rhetoric. You gave them $500 million. The company failed. How can you do that? But the reality, apparently, is that the Chinese flooded the market with solar panels that were a lot less expensive, coupled with a breakdown in the European economy. But to put a little finer point on the pencil, Solyndra came to Washington in the late summer and reassured the government, this is sort of the key, everything's fine, the company's doing well. The gravamen, the essence of any criminal case would be, in my view, that when they did that, they knew that the company was already in trouble. If they can prove that, they may be able to cobble together some type of white-collar criminal theory. If, on the other hand, when we made those representations, we had no idea that the China product was going to eviscerate our company, then they're fine. And that's what an investigation is all about, really.
Doug, I want to bring it back to these executives claiming their Fifth Amendment rights. Obviously, that is their rights as American citizens, and you can defend that. I mean, I think we all agree with that, but it still creates fantastic drama and doesn't make the administration look good, right? I mean, it makes it look like something is fishy, like they're hiding something.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. Once you parse out the legal part, which is, the academic classroom, you can draw no inference from this. It means absolutely nothing. My goodness, Matt, in the real world, it's like, wait a minute. Imagine putting together a political ad. The government gave a company $500 million. Now their executives came in to explain what happened. I take the Fifth Amendment. Would you endorse this? I mean, that's the political ad.
You've got to work on a campaign, Doug.
What happens next? What do we wait for now?
Well, now they'll sort of go back and forth, and federal criminal law gets very complicated in terms of limited immunity deals and so forth. They don't give transactional immunity, meaning we're just immunizing you for everything, but they may interview them under an agreement which says we won't use what you say today and so forth. And it's very, very complicated, and that's sort of how it's going to go back and forth.
Sounds like we'll hear an awful lot more on this story, no doubt about that. Doug, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Former federal prosecutor Doug Burns.